Hello, my name is Mariana, and this is a reading for Aries. So, Aries, I'm doing your reading as usual with my own deck, so the cards that you'll see are from this deck. So, let's talk about breathing, Aries. It's interesting because your reading today seems to be like this big, deep breath in, so that you are inhaling all of the air, and it's like I'm seeing you in a sense expanding or increasing the capacity of your lungs, and therefore your ability to float on the surface of the water is achieved more easily. And it's beautiful because I feel like this is a practice that you're testing with yourself, but also you're finding the joy of it. This is something that is, coming up a lot this past week, these past few readings. So finding the joy in practicing something that can expand the capacity of your lungs. And that is specifically because of this card here that is opening up your reading, the Four of Swords. So this card actually, sometimes the cards communicate auditorily or visually, and this card came through as this act of breathing in. And it's interesting because it's not the full process of, inhaling and exhaling, or, inhaling, holding, and then exhaling. It's specifically talking about this breathing in. It's like there is something that you want to bring into your system, into your body, at least. It's almost like you want to oxygenate, or like you want to bring more air, more clear air into your body. So this is beautiful because as soon as I felt this breathing in and my lungs expanding, I felt this sensation of floating. And I don't know if you've tested this sometime, or if you get a chance to be inside a pool, inside a water, inside a river, whatever, and try to float, like literally try to float. If you do nothing, probably you'll sink. But if you bring, this air inside, it's more easily like you can float. So this is what I'm sensing with you, right? It's almost like it's like you are on the surface of the water, Aries, and you are trying to stay afloat, but in a sense, you're finding that the easiest way to do that is when you breathe in, right? It's like the more you do that, the more, with the Seven of Swords, it's like the more capacity to absorb this clean air you have. It's almost like you start off with the Four, but then because you're practicing it, and you're practicing it like I'm seeing you horizontally laying down on the surface of the water, right? So it's like this experiment of, sinking a little bit into the water, but then, breathing in and floating again, and this, beautiful rhythm with the water, but mainly with the air. This is interesting because of the swords, right? So with the Seven of Swords here, this clear message of lung capacity expansion, right? It's almost like I'm seeing you are expanding. It's like the more you expand your lungs, the more your ability to float is, achieved. But it's there's something more. It's not just your body. It's like being in this in between. It's like being in between the air and in between the water. I don't know how to explain that. It's almost like it's decoded a little bit, because I feel like it's a metaphor for like this, being conscious that you are in this in-between realm, right? It's like you're not fully flying and you're not sinking either. You are in that in-between, and holding yourself in the in-between requires that your lungs have this extra capacity to bring in air, right? To store air, stock air, I don't know. So I feel like that's clear, right, Aries? But the interesting thing is that this card came up upside down, the Four of Cups, another four. But actually what this is talking about, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but you see here the symbol for the swords. It's almost like the shape of the heart, but with this leg or this anchor is actually how it was coming through. So the more you practice, Aries, the more you expand the capacity of your lungs to bring in more air. It's almost like you're purifying your system with clear air, right? With clean air. And by doing so, it's like you are it's almost like you're achieving this blissful state, is what this is talking about, where you can find comfort in staying afloat, in staying in this in-between realm where you don't have to think about it. It's almost like you just feel the subtle change of, you know, sinking and floating, sinking and floating. And, you know, what I'm seeing also is because it's another 4, it's like it's holding your position steady, right? It's like the it's almost like the difference between, you know, going up and down is no longer that drastic. It's almost like you have minimized, or you have brought, you know, the difference between sinking and floating to the minimum. It's like you can barely see the difference, because you're now, it's like, because now your lungs are more expanded, so you have more air inside of your body, therefore you can float more easily. Does it make sense? So the preoccupation or the tension or the you know, when we begin something new, right, when we are learning something, we have to think a lot about what we're doing. But once you increase that capacity to breathe in more air, and that becomes such a balanced movement, right, that you can, it's like you don't have to go through the ups and downs. It's like you achieve that steadiness. You don't have to think. It's almost like you can just feel and enjoy it. The 9 of Wands, it's interesting because the last reading, the 9 of Wands came also, but it came reversed. So here it's, you know, upright, Aries, for you. And the feeling that I get is that once you let go of the thinking and you allow yourself, because, okay, so what I feel like I didn't explain literally what these 2 cards were talking about is because this one has still the anchor, meaning that probably you were feeling the density pulling you down, right? Sinking further. But here you no longer have the anchor, right? It's not here. That's the reason why this card came upside down, I feel. Just to show that, you know, it's a subtle change, but it's significant because it's almost like taking all of the tension out of the equation, right? When you are doing this breathing exercise, in a sense, where the focus is in the breathing in part, right? So it's interesting because the 9 of Wands here, yes, is talking about joy and beauty and happiness and, you know, truly finding this, well, the blissful state was already here in the 4 of Cups, but it's magnified here. It's like, it's almost like you can, because you have achieved this steady position, right? It's like you can hold that position for longer. You can stay, you know, floating over the sea for longer, so you can enjoy both worlds. This is what this is talking about. It's almost like being in this in-between where you are, you know, if you open your eyes, you are staring at the sky. So you are, you know, picking up or, you know, joining forces with this air element, but your back is turned to the water. So there is beauty there. It's almost like you are in this in-between, enjoying both realms or both elements to the fullest. It's like you can appreciate the 2 realms at once. Okay, so your reading today is so interesting because it's so bodily. It's like it's activating the lungs especially, and the way that it does so, remember, it's like you were going from this 4 of Swords to the 4 of Cups upside down, meaning that you, it's like if it started harder, right? If you had to think so much about what you were doing, and the more you practiced, the more you expanded your own ability to do so, and your own ability to, bring in more air. It's like you are able to, cleanse yourself with that. And that is the reason why you're appreciating both realms, right? And being in this in between. But the relationship between the swords and the cups, and it happens also here. So after this 9 of wands, we have another 7, but it's the 7 of cups. So look how interesting. It's like, because you're now appreciating and enjoying, it's like truly enjoying this balanced, steady position that you find yourself in, like staying afloat, not sinking, not flying, but just the right, perfect. It's like you are in line with this surface of the water. You are in line with the two elements at once. So what I'm seeing here with this 7 of cups is that the more you do so, the more your lungs are it's almost like becoming an athlete of breathing, right? It's like actually this is exactly what I'm seeing here, especially with the last card coming through, because I feel like, Aries, you are it has to do with enjoyment, right? You are enjoying so much. Maybe it started out as a moment to relax, a moment to just wind off your energy and wind down, and let go of all of the preoccupations, and finding that the more you did so, the more you really, it's interesting because now it's not only coming through as expanding your lung capacity, but also expanding your consciousness, expanding your ability to love more. It's like, or to feel more, right? Or to stay in tune. It's like you can now, because you have found yourself in this steady position, that you can enjoy it for longer, because you're not fighting against yourself, to just stay afloat. You have found this exact spot. It's like now you can stay there in this balanced position, in this wavelength that is like matching the two environments, the two elements, the two realms at once, all at the same time, and therefore you are able to just appreciate it. But it's more than just finding it like a fun exercise, right? Or like, wow, I managed to do it. It's almost like, if you in the past, if you were to try this exercise before, it's like you could only hold this breathing exercise for like a minute, right? Or this floating position for a minute. But now that your lungs have expanded, and so has your consciousness and your ability to tune in, right? It's like you can stay there for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, right? And the more that you do so, the more that you are, it's like, it's almost like this snowball effect of like increasing the joy, but also increasing your ability, your capacity to bring in more air, to just stay in that position. It's like you are literally mastering this because of these two cards. So we have another 4, which is the 4 of wands and the King of Swords. So, first of all, the 4 of wands, in traditional tarot, it's all about this moment to celebrate. And I feel like it's you celebrating yourself. It's you celebrating this. It's not, remember, it's a subtle change, but you know it. It's like you can realize that you are improving. You know that your ability to, hold your breath longer, or breathe in, for more seconds and breathe out. It's like to stay afloat for longer and to enjoy the two realms at once. It's like you know that you're doing it. And therefore you are, it's like, it's a natural consequence, right, Aries? It's like you are finding that what started out maybe as, you know, the only alternative that you saw in front of you that was able to, you know, clear your mind, or give you a moment to rest. And well, it's interesting because it's coming through as rest and rejoice. So what started out maybe as this desire to, you know, put down your thoughts, to calm your mind, and, you know, goes through this phase of finding the perfect balance that you don't have to think about it anymore. You just have to feel. And, you know, it's almost like surrender to your own body. Your body knows what it's doing. Your body is picking up to this increasing ability to, you know, store in more air. And this is beautiful because I feel like this is becoming, it's almost like being in this, what is the name of that wavelength, what, you know, when you breathe in a certain way and for a certain amount of time, there is this, it's almost like this alpha state or this theta state, or I don't know the name, but it's like you are gaining that. And it's interesting because the force, again, the force came in the Pisces reading talking about the personal space, the intimate space, right? Bringing it closer to you. And I feel like this is what you're doing. It's like what begins with a decision, maybe a mental choice that you decided, I'm just going to go for a dip and I'm trying to float because I don't want to think about it anything else. And then you find yourself in, it's almost like you are in your own bubble, and it's like this small exercise that makes all of the difference in increasing the amount of joy that you hold within your body because of the clean air that you are putting in your system, right? And so it's also talking about what you are discovering, you know, because you're in this in-between spot, holding this position steady, that you can enjoy two realms at once. You are bringing to your personal space, right? The four is this, it's almost like this closeness, this proximity of your body, of yourself, right? It's like you are bringing maybe the awareness of, you know, the deep sky and the deep sea. It's like you're bringing it closer to you, to this middle ground that is you, right? Your body being this middle spot, this, it's like this perfect balance point. And this is what is giving you this mastery. This King of Swords is talking about how you are, and I want to say it may be a very short amount of time, right? You are achieving such mastery because it began with a decision of yours, right? And because you were feeling, well, you were, it's like you were paying attention to what was happening to your body, and you were also feeling this increase in love and joy and peacefulness and blissfulness. And it's like, if it started for a reason that it might be delicate, or, you know, you weren't feeling so well, it's like, and you needed to recharge yourself, it's like the way that you leave this pool or this body of water or whatever it is that you are immersed in. And it doesn't have to be right in the water, it's just the image that is coming through. It could be like you just sitting down, or, you know, laying down over your bed or on the floor or whatever, and feeling like that you are, it's like your body is talking to you, right? It's like you are paying attention to the way that you are feeling these subtle changes in your body, in your lungs, right? It's so incredible because I don't feel like it ever came this specific, but it's coming through this way for you, Aries. So I feel like you are, it's like, I can only congratulate you, to be honest, because I feel like you are becoming this master of a breathing technique or any sort of exercise that brings you closer to yourself, but also brings you this reset, right? Brings you this It's like it puts you in this joyful state. It's coming through again as reset and rejoice. Maybe that's going to be the title of your reading. Okay, so this is how you end up. It's like you're feeling great, right? You're not feeling depleted, perhaps like you thought you were in the beginning, and that's the reason why, you know, you went to this place, or you went to do this exercise in the first place. So I wonder if you are aware of that. I feel like you are, but it's almost like, you know, it's good to have a confirmation. So here it is. It's like you are this master of this ability to expand your lungs, expand your consciousness, expand your love, expand your capacity to reset and rejoice on your own, right? So I'm going to pull more cards for you, Aries, and I'm going to pull from the astrological runes in the extended reading. So if you want to join me there, I'll be happy to see you. If not, I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.